John, it's been 70 years since you first came out here to Carrolup.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? So. No, yeah, we come out here with my mother, and she used to bring a class out here every year, in the late 40s, and that was an annual thing she used to do. So, and we used to see what they were doing, what the drawings they were doing, and I think some of them used to have a bit of a sport thing too with it when we were out here.
So you were how old when you first came?
Well, I'm born in 40, so I was probably 7, 8, going on 8 probably, yeah.
So you remember coming into this room, which at the time was the white schoolroom?
Yeah, this is the room that I saw them doing their drawings in, the Carrolup drawings, and they were just a big table, and boys sat round the table. There was no girls doing it, it was all boys, and they just had broken crayons in the middle, and they just took what they wanted and drew the picture. The scenes were not pre-drawn or anything, they just drew them as they had seen them.
Wow. And so how many boys, can you remember? Dozen?
The big table, I would have said there was about 6 to 8 people around. Can't remember the actual numbers, but there was a few boys down each side. And as I said, they didn't even have, it amazed me, they were all broken crayons, they were all bits and pieces. There was no like new crayons or anything like that.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So how did you feel as a 7-year-old looking at these Aboriginal boys who presumably you hadn't met many Aboriginal boys at this time of your life?
No, well, sort of, in my schooling we only had 1 or 2 in the class, and it was totally different from, even the first, I think we told you the story when I first came out, and the bus that had the roll-down canvas sides, and when we nearly got here, all the kids wanted the sides rolled down because they thought they might throw a spear through the window. They had no idea of what they were doing or anything about them. So it was a learning curve for those that were here, and because Mum was always interested in Aboriginal welfare and animals, and she was a real granny, I suppose you'd say, these days.
Yeah. And did you meet Mr. and Mrs. White? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I can remember Mr. and Mrs. White being here. I think he mainly did the talking to Mum, and it was just an excursion, as I said, because Mum liked to get out and take a class into different things, and the same with the big sanctuary she had the class doing in Kojonup, so she was very much into those sort of things. So.
Yeah. And what was it like here at the school? I mean, obviously this has all changed now because it was later used as a church. Were there desks as well as that table? Were there like the old style desks?
What I can remember of it was the desks were like we had in school when I was at school in there, the old wooden desk where you sat on the seat of the desk behind, and you had a shelf underneath your desk, and an inkwell in the top, which I used to get into trouble because I used to dribble, spill. But I think it was the same setup here, and teachers had a table out front, and it was.
And the walls, were there paintings on the walls?
Yeah, there was pinned up their drawings were all around the room. Yeah, no, it was very impressive at that stage.
And of course we now know the names of Parney Dempster and Rebel Hart and Rebel Cooper, but to you as a 7-year-old, I guess they were just a bunch of Aboriginal children.
Yeah, long lanky, most of them were fairly thin and lanky, so it's Aboriginal kids. And as we said, when I was at school, they went home in town to the reserve, and we never thought anything about it, didn't know the circumstances they were living under.